Hello everyone, I'm back with another game coverage from round 6 of the 2018 Chess Olympiad. So in this video, I'm covering the game between Shakhriyar Mamedyarov and David Navara. So this is on table 1, board number 1, the clash between Azerbaijan and the Czech Republic. So let's see how the game unfolds. Mamedyarov plays d4, we have knight f6, knight f3, d5, c4, e6, so we have a queen's gambit decline on the board. Knight c3, c5, c takes d5, so now we're heading into the semi-Tarrasch variation. And Mamedyarov also played this against Michael Adams in round 4. Knight takes d5, e4, knight takes c3, b takes c3, c takes d4, c takes d4, bishop to b4 check, bishop d2, bishop takes d2, queen takes d2, black castles, and here bishop to c4 from white. So this is all still theory. We have knight d7, white castles, b6, black prepares to fianchetto his bishop, rook a to d1, so white wants to bring these rooks to the central files to support these pawns. Black plays bishop b7, rook f to e1, rook to c8, developing the rook with a tempo on the bishop. Bishop drops back, and here in the game against Michael Adams, Adams played h6, Mamedyarov played h3, and then rook to e8. But here we have a slightly different move order. First, Navara played rook to e8, h3, and then he played h6. And here in the game against Adams, Mamedyarov played rook to e3. But in this game, he played queen to f4. So queen to f4 centralizes the queen. It also looks at f7, so black has to be a bit careful about this diagonal opening up. It also gives protection to e4. Queen to c7 from Navara, and here white can trade queens, but this sort of takes all the juice out of the position. And this isn't the kind of move that Mamedyarov plays. He likes to keep a lot of fighting chances alive in the position. So after queen c7, we have e5. This does give black the d5 square, which he could put a knight on, but for now this knight is quite far away from reaching the d5 square. We have knight to f8 from Navara, knight to d2, so now Mamedyarov wants to reroute this knight onto d6. Knight to g6, queen g4, and here b5. So here Navara is preparing to get some counterplay by creating a passed pawn on the queen side. Knight to e4, so the threat is knight d6. Therefore, Navara plays bishop takes e4. Queen takes e4, and here a5. So the immediate threat for black is to play a4, trapping this bishop. So here Mamedyarov plays d5, and if black carries on with a4, you simply play pawn takes e6. And if he takes the bishop, then you play rook to d7, followed by pawn takes f7. So here Navara plays e takes d5, we have rook takes d5, a4, bishop to d1, the only square for the bishop, and queen to b7. So this supports the pawn. And also, if this rook moves, then black can trade queens. Bishop to f3 from Mamedyarov, and here knight to e7 from Navara. So this forces an exchange of queens. Rook d6, queen takes e4, bishop takes e4, and here a move like rook b8, and black should be fine. So he is simply going to try and create a passed pawn, and this should be sufficient counterplay for black. But instead of this, Navara played knight to g6, allowing Mamedyarov to push forward with e6. So this pawn cannot be taken because then this knight would hang. Similarly, if you play rook takes e6, simply rook takes, then you take the knight. So here knight to f4 from Navara. But now things are starting to get very tactical, and the tactics in this position favor white. Mamedyarov plays pawn takes f7, king takes f7, and here g3, provoking this knight to move, because then bishop to g6 would come for white. Here if you play knight takes h3, then after king g2, black simply loses material. If knight g5, then bishop g6, winning the exchange. So here king to e7 from Navara, but his position is sort of tilting on the edge. Rook to d2 from Mamedyarov. So now white is threatening all sorts of discoveries with this bishop. Knight to e6 from Navara, and now the square is no longer defended by the knight, so rook to d5 with tempo on the pawn, and then f4 from Mamedyarov. So white's threat is to play bishop g6 followed by f5, winning the knight. And black doesn't really have a good way of defending this. If he tries to unpin with king to f6, and then because this rook is on the 5th rank, you can give check, rook to f5, and then you play rook to e5. And here black doesn't have a way to avoid material loss. If he plays, for example, king d6, then you simply play bishop g6 with tempo on this rook, and then you give a check, and then you play f5. So here, if you try, for example, king to d7, simply bishop g6 and again f5. Similarly, if you play king to f7, bishop d5, and this rook cannot defend with rook to c6 because this bishop covers that square. So here, after f4, Navara plays b3, trying to create counterplay by creating a passed pawn on the queen side. So a takes b3, a takes b3, bishop g6, rook to f8, and here f5 for Mamedyarov, so he's going to win a piece. Rook to f6, rook takes e6, rook takes e6, f takes e6, and here b2 from Navara, but Mamedyarov has everything covered. Rook to b5, putting the rook behind the passed pawn, king to f6, and here bishop to h7. And it was in this position that David Navara resigned the game. Black is simply down a whole piece without any compensation. If he tries to trap the bishop with g6, then, well, you can take the pawn first. And if king g7, then you give a check. And here e7 completely paralyzes black. The rook has to stay on the 8th rank to guard the pawn from advancing to the queening square. And also black can never play king g7 because then white promotes with check. And here if rook to f8, then you simply rook to h8, sorry, you simply play rook to f2 check, and then you take the pawn. A very impressive feat from Mamedyarov, winning 3 games in a row against elite grandmasters. So the other 2 wins came against Michael Adams and Levon Aronian. So after this round, Azerbaijan are currently the leaders of the tournament. They won every single matchup and they have 19 total points. So I hope you enjoyed this game, and if you do, please subscribe for more content on the Chess Olympiad. Thank you for watching and have a great day.